All right, this is a 184 voice for 10 minutes.
I'm for the plaintiff, Ms. Javan, Javan.
I am the witness.
I am the court.
And I'm defense, Mr. Santana.
And it starts with you. Okay.
Sir, if you were advised, having those items in front of you now, if you were advised that a subject had a vial which, when analyzed, contained 8 millimeters of liquid PCP, that he was carrying that on his person, that he also had a package of Cool cigarettes, and that is the item you opened, People's number 2, and that he had the items in People's number 1, which you have identified as pay and owe sheets and an address book. If you were advised that that same subject had all of those items in his possession, would you have an opinion for the purpose in which the liquid PCP was held?
Yes, I would.
Lack of foundation, Your Honor.
Objection overruled.
What would that opinion be?
My opinion would be that the person was engaged in the sales of PCP.
If you were also told that on being that the same person who had that vial had approached a bystander in the street, took the vial out and held it up to view and said, "Here it is, Holmes," and that the bystander smelled what he took to be an odor of PCP, would that change your opinion?
Objection, assuming facts not in evidence.
Objection overruled. It is taken pursuant to a motion to strike.
No, it would not change my opinion at all.
Would it enhance it?
Yes.
Thank you.
Cross-examination.
Thank you. Officer Burnt, you mentioned that People's number 2, these Cool cigarettes. Are you aware if those cigarettes are tested for PCP?
Not these. Well, yes, I believe these particular cigarettes and others were tested for PCP, yes.
Do you know the result of these cigarettes?
They tested negative.
Would it change the hypothetical if a person were caught with Cool cigarettes alone? Would that mean that a person had phencyclidine for sale?
Not in and of itself, no.
And also, if a person had an address book with certain numbers in it, if that alone was the case, would that indicate that that person had phencyclidine for sale?
If it were the same figures and numbers that I found on these pieces of paper, yes, it would.
And you base your opinion on the fact that, and you base your opinion on your interpretation of the numbers. Is that not correct?
Yes.
You have spoken to nobody in terms of how you decipher the numbers?
I'm not sure I understand you.
You have come to the opinion that these numbers indicate that a person is in the process of selling phencyclidine?
Yes.
What is it in particular about these numbers that leads you to that opinion?
Most of the figures are in multiples of 10 or 20, which is the standard purchase price of what they call a half dip for $10, or a full dip, which costs about $20.
And as to the address book, is it not correct, sir, that some of the numbers are not in multiples of 10 or 20? One of the books does indicate a 5. Is that correct?
Are you referring to the address book or the pieces of paper?
May I approach?
Yes.
The pieces of paper.
That's correct. You have one figure that says 32.
And also, is there a figure as to number 107? Is that correct?
There is a total figure of 147, yes.
And do you have a number of 5 on that particular piece of paper?
There are 2 different figures of 5.
And would you include that in multiples of 10 or 20?
No, it is not a multiple of 10 or 20.
So it is not?
No.
So 3 of the figures are not multiples of 10 or 20, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Also, as to the address book, if you can open it up, please. Can you tell us if there are any numbers in the address book that indicate multiples of 10 or 20?
You mean besides telephone numbers?
Yes.
No, it appears to be names and addresses and phone numbers.
Is there anything unusual about this phone book in and of itself that indicates that a person who possessed that phone book would have phencyclidine for sale, officer?
No, not in the phone book, no.
No. All right. And as to this other piece of paper with numbers on it, on this piece of paper, are there different figures independent of figures of multiples of 10 or 20?
Yes, there is one figure of 32 and 2 makes of 5. That also corresponds to the same names and figures on the first sheet.
Is there another figure also, a number 12 on there if you can read it?
There's a figure of a 12 which has been crossed out.
It has been crossed out.
Yes.
And also a figure as to 95 plus 12, is that correct?
It says total 95, yes.
Plus another figure, another number, is that correct?
You mean the 95 plus the 12 and the 107?
Yes?
Yes.
Is it not correct that if a person had these cool cigarettes and that they tested negative and that they had this phone book, that would not indicate that that person was possessing phencyclidine for sale, is that correct?
It would indicate to me that it does.
It is not clear if counsel means that the person also had possession of the restricted liquid.
I did not include that in the hypothetical.
Did you understand the question? It does not include the PCP for sale.
Yes.
If a person had these two items only, would you come to the conclusion that that opinion would be that they were for sale?
I would have a strong opinion that that person is engaged in the sale of PCP, yes.
This is a normal phone book with phone numbers in it, and there are no figures in the phone book, and these are a package of cigarettes, and in your opinion,
Did you mean the phone book or the pieces of paper?
I mean the phone book.
No, if a person had a phone book and a package of pools, no. I would not think so.
If you added the pieces of paper,
Yes, I would.
even excluding the fact that the person did not have a bottle of phencyclidine in their possession,
That would not change anything, no.
and you would base your change of opinion primarily on the numbers on the pieces of paper that you have testified to that are before us.
Yes, that's correct.
So it would be your opinion that if a person did not have the bottle and they did not have the pieces of paper on him, that then it would be your opinion that the person did not have phencyclidine for sale. Is that not correct?
There wouldn't be enough evidence at that point for me to make that suspicion of that opinion, no.
Thank you.
Anything further?
Yes. What if all you had was the 8 millimeters of PCP and the package of Pool cigarettes? From those items, would you form an opinion?
Yes,
What would your opinion be?
that the person was engaged in the sale of PCP. In my experience on the street, the people that the users more or less buy either a $10 or a $20 pool. Now, the sellers always have the bottles. They don't necessarily have the cigarettes. Oftentimes, the users bring the cigarettes and they usually draw them halfway up the cigarette, which is a halfer, or they will take a full dip or all of the way up the cigarette, and that is $20. Usually, I have observed that the sellers have the liquid and the buyers will have the cigarettes
If you just had the PCP and the cigarettes together?
for sale.
Thank you.
Recross?
Yes, Officer Burnt, in your experience or training, is it your opinion in 100% of the times that a person has a bottle with PCP in it, that person is engaging in the sale of PCP?
Objection. Vague and ambiguous. There is no quantity stated.
Objection sustained.
If a person had a bottle and it had 1 millimeter, would that cause you to believe that that person had possession for sale of PCP?
That would indicate to me that a person had probably bought a half ounce or a full ounce, and that's all he had left in the bottom. I have never seen it sold in 1 millimeter.
If there was less than an ounce,
No,
would that change your opinion?
no,
If there were traces on the bottle itself, would that change your opinion, officer?
no.
You would still come to the conclusion that the person was, you would still come to the conclusion that the person had possessed the bottle for sale?
Yes.
And this is even with minute traces on the bottle. Is that a correct statement?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you.
Redirect.
No.
May this witness be excused?
No objection.
Mr. Santana,
No objection.
you are excused and free to leave at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Next witness. You do solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give in the cause now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God?
I do.
Would you please state your full name?
Manuel Ocampo.
Would you please spell your last name?
Ocampo.
Thank you very much. You may be seated in the witness stand.
Sir, are you a police officer employed by the City of Monterey Park Police Department?
Yes.
Were you doing that kind of work on July 14 last year?
No, I was off duty.
Were you still a police officer but off duty? I am talking about 8:30 in the morning of the 14th of July. You said you were off duty at that time?
Yes.
Were you in an area of 512 North Atlantic Boulevard in Alhambra?
Yes.
Is that in the county of Los Angeles?
Yes.
At that time, did you see any person that caught your attention?
Yes.
Do you see that person today?
Yes.
Would you point that individual out, please?
Yes. Sitting right there in the checkered shirt.
Indicating the defendant for the record.
Are there any others in court that you saw that day?
No.
What was it about the defendant, Mr. Cruz, that caught your attention?
When I walked out to the carport area, he was walking towards me, and before I saw him and a friend walking around the carport area, to me, they appeared to be under the influence of something.
No foundation, Your Honor. It is vague. A motion to strike.
Objection sustained. Lay a foundation.
Why don't you just tell me what it was that you saw that led you to have a feeling about these individuals?
I saw that they were under the influence of PCP.
Did you
Objection again, Your Honor.
Objection sustained.
tell us what you saw before you tell us what you felt?
Okay, the second time that I went out there.
Let me stop you there.
Okay,
You said you saw them the first time,
yes,
and you said you saw them doing something physical that led you to a conclusion.
yes.
What were the physical actions or things that you did see with respect to the defendant and his companion?
Objection, Your Honor. Leading.
Objection overruled.